And he holds that this principle is the most fundamental of human thinking. Custom and habit is really important. You will see what the implication, the far-reaching implication. So, all inductive inferences are fundamentally based on the automatic custom and habits of the mind. Hume says you can study as much as you like philosophy, it's not going to change anything. Nature will always maintain its rights and prevail in the end over any abstract reasoning. And then principle, custom and habit, will preserve its influence as long as human nature remains. If you have a certain custom and habit, I can teach you a lot of political philosophy. It's not going to work. It will be very superficial. So the custom and habit, this is the deep thing. You can teach people, I mean, when they are, adults, not that something is not good, but if it's not part of the custom and habit of the mind, this will be superficial. The first crisis, they will fall back on their custom and habit. The different levels, obviously, the most fundamental ones are the ones that you learn early. Because they are the deepest, they are the least, I mean, the ones that you are least, aware of. You may not never be actually aware of these things. And then everything else is built on it. In some sense.
But just because, for example, it's our custom and habit of the mind to do the things in terms of cause and effect, just like induction, is that justified by itself the use of induction or cause and effect when observing anything?
We will see. I mean, we are not yet there. We will see. But this is the basis. So, if people hate the difference, different people, it's not by chance. What you would say, if you don't see in your kindergarten a lot of different kinds of people or children, and you actually learn how to live with them, if you study philosophy later on when you are in college, it's a little bit late. You can try to develop things, but it will be always hard. If you kind of born into it, this is the custom of habit of your mind. You wouldn't need to think twice about it. It's like, it's normal. There are different people. And that's the way the world is.
So custom and habit would be the same as culture. Every culture has a different way of doing something.
They're different. Some custom and habit are very fundamental. Like for instance, orientation in space might be similar to all human. Like when we have certain disposition, physical, biological disposition. But then when we expose to experience, we develop certain ideas that are so deep that we never think about it. Actually, the most deep-rooted ideas, if you want, the biases, are something that you never think about. We think about the most superficial, and we change the most superficial. So if you can change something, it means that it's more superficial. So basically, you can see that this is not just for science, it's also for political philosophy. If you want to create a certain society, you have to think about what human beings are. They're not ideal people, that you just tell them the truth and then we find out that the way we process things already depends on this custom and habit. For instance, a question. Having a car, does it increase your freedom or decrease your freedom? Strange question. What do you think?
Well, there's pros and cons. Increase and decrease.
In what sense?
Well, increase, you can go more places, but then it increases your freedom until the further you as the car, then tax different people, people depend on you, so you're restricted.
Okay. But for instance, yeah?
I was just going to say, responsibilities, you have to generate revenue to be able to operate.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to pay it.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, Canada there is a certain view, I suppose, especially if you live in a place like Toronto, because you have a lot of public transportation and you're in some sense less dependent. But when I was in the US and I asked this question, people were actually much more thinking about the car as the source of freedom. So for instance, there are places like Annapolis is the capital of Maryland, and it's very difficult to park in Annapolis. So there is a park and drive which is free, easy and free, safe. But very few people actually use it. They're kind of nervous not to have the car around. They're very much dependent on the car. The car is maybe the first or the second thing after the family, that is important. Without the car, you're dead. You cannot go anywhere. And obviously, it does change your mind and reaction. To that. You can think about it. Like have a philosophy class about it. Is it going to change deeply? Not clear. Probably most of the people would not think about it like that. Or for instance, the difference between people who live in the city or people who live in the suburbs. People who live in the suburb can think that the city is dirty, dangerous, especially in places like Baltimore, and immoral or something like that. And people who live in the city, think, what's the problem? What do we do?
And have it be something like in the States where they have this culture of having weapons or the right to bear arms. I know that's a whole other discussion, but it's the same sort of thing where they just think that it's perfect sense to them to have this right and to be able to do this, and the rest of us look at it and go, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's part of it. For instance, one of the things that there is, it's part of the mythology, and I suppose part of education is that, for instance, fear of big government. They never talk about fear of big corporation. Microsoft, for instance, now maybe Apple as well, does impose on you a lot of things. It's actually, there was a time in which Microsoft was basically the main or the only, game in town, and they imposed, a lot of things, and they were like, they didn't give a lot of options, but it's interesting that people were not complaining about that. They were complaining about the government that imposing on them and don't even any other. For instance, the attitude is the government is a little bit a foreign agent that you have to be careful of. While in other countries, there is a different attitude. Where I grew up, for instance, you complain about the government all the time, but you expect the government to do for you something. It's not a foreign agent. It's something that. So that's part of the customer habit of the mind. It's more superficial than some maybe more basic thing, but it is. That's what Hume is saying basically. That these things are stronger than any abstract philosophical thinking. And if you don't have it, you will always be struggling, changing your mind. Okay. So custom then is the great guide of human life. It is that principle alone which renders our experience useful to us and make us expect for the future a similar frame of event with those that happens in the past. Without the influence of custom, we should be entirely ignorant of any matter of fact beyond what is immediately present to the memory and sense. We should never know how to adjust means to ends of the other way, and or to employ our natural power in the production of any effect. There will be an end at once of all action as well as the chief part of speculation. Chief part of speculation is induction. It says that it's not just the problem of induction without custom and habit. There will be no thinking, no action. That's the basis of everything.
Well, to start off with our getting our custom in our brain, like your things, for example, your primary socialization, we won't have anything like there's still stuff going on, we still do the things, so maybe we don't have to still move.
Yeah, we have dispositions. We have innate, because biologically and whatever other, we have certain dispositions. So babies cook down. They cook down the language in a way that the dog cannot learn. change, I mean, how, actually, what kind of ideas and what kind of behavior was related. I mean, what's the attitude? And when I talk about the car or this, I mean, they're kind of, it's still superficial. There are some things that are much deeper, you know, inside. I mean, and the thing that you can teach in philosophy class, but the first time there is a crisis, people will fall back on the customer habit. It's normal, it's an instinct. It's this instinct that is also powerful. You see that there are two faces to this instinct. These instincts allow us to be very quick in going from one thing to another. Deductive inference, complicated, mistakes, it takes time. We saw what Hume said about it. It's not reliable. It's too slow. It comes too late. The customer and habit of the mind is quick. It's an instinct. You know, we say instinct is something supposed to be quick. I mean, we don't have to think too much about it. That's the good thing about it. The downside is that it limits you in a certain way. You know, so it goes both ways. So in short, this is the basis. I mean, customer habit is the basis of induction. It's the basis of thinking. It's the basis of judgment of relevance, and the basis of judgment of probability, and the basis of inductive judgment. Basically, what we call reason.
I'm just wondering how Hume would interpret the piece of Watt's example from Descartes, because it seems to me that Descartes is just trying to deny this custom habit of experience new things and to try to achieve the induction, like the real knowledge.
Hume would say that when we see many times, you know, walks, and we see how, you know, put it in the fire or whatever, I mean, and see what happens, they might create an idea of cause and effect. So we know that what was before, the wax when it was solid, is related to it as a liquid. So it's not that the mind, I mean, kind of creates something out of nothing. It's just the qualities, the repetition of the qualities that one creates the other. I mean, that creates the idea in the mind that this is the same thing. But that's the reason, I mean, you know, that we learn, I mean, in general, to identify one thing over time, even it changes. Because we have an idea of necessary connection, cause and effect. So we can see that a person is the same as the baby because we have the idea that the influences that happen, we know what's the natural progression and so on, and there are certain similarities that are similar enough and so on, and that's the basis of our judgment. So it's all based on experience, how experience wired the mind, and therefore how we think. Okay. We talked about this, I mean, so just quickly, the difference, so the basis for you, the basis of reason is not reason. You know, it's automatic connection. That's the important. That are non-negotiable. It's not that we inherited them by thinking is it good or bad, you know, implicitly or not. We just got it, and by the time we thought, we were already being committed to it. Committed by our nature. So let's see the solution. This is kind of difficult. I mean, you actually proposed three. Doesn't say explicitly, but you can find three proposals for solution to the problem of induction. And I think that actually the last one is the strongest, but also the most difficult to detect. It's not explicit, and the one that I think was missed by almost everybody. So let's see the three answers. The first one is, Hume holds that given our nature, we have no choice but to rely on patterns. But if we have no choice, in some sense, there is no question of reason and not reason. It's like if you ask whether I'm moral to do something, but actually I don't do it, I'm forced to do it. So it's not my responsibility. So in a sense, inductive reasoning is justified by default because there is no other game in town. That's the only game in town for humans. You know, when you ask, whether it's justified, many times there is the presupposition that there are other options. But if there are no other options, then in some sense it's justified. Well, that's one solution. It's interesting. In some sense, it's powerful. Maybe the second one. The second answer is kind of the idea that induction is very powerful, it's very efficient. That without induction, we could actually do much less. So Hume says that it's more reliable than inductive reasoning. He said, the operation of the mind by which we infer like effects from like process and vice versa is so essential to the subsistence of all human creatures. So it's kind of even, you can think about evolution. It is not probable that it could be trusted, subjected to the fallacious deduction of the reason, of our reason, which is slow in its operation, appears not in any degree during the first year of infancy, and at best is in every age and period of human life extremely liable to error and mistake. Basically, Hume says, without deduction, it would be much more difficult. Human thought would be much more problematic, prone to error and slow. It is most comfortable to the ordinary wisdom of nature to secure so necessary an act of the mind by some instinct or mechanical tendency, which may be infallible in its operation, may discover its at first operation of thought, and may be independent of all level of deduction of the understanding. As nature taught us the use of our limbs without giving us knowledge of the muscle and the nerves by which they are actuated, so has she implanted in us an instinct which carry forward the thought in correspondent course to that which she established among external objects. Though we are ignorant of those power and forces on which this regular cause and succession of objects totally depend. So think about it, the difference between knowing how to ride a bicycle and now learning on the way how to ride a bicycle. Learning on the way how to ride a bicycle is a little bit more like deductive reasoning. You can learn perfectly and then get on the bike and fall, the first attempt. While if your muscles and your mind is kind of wired in a certain way, it's kind of natural. You don't even think about how to do it. You don't think about error or anything. It's very, very, very efficient, very good. So basically, Hume says that the situation is such that the mind, that nature developed in us these instincts that correspond to the thing that happens in the world. You learn from experience. And it's very efficient. Without that, we wouldn't be the successful, creatures that we are. We wouldn't manage in the world in the same way as we do. So it's efficiency, and if you want kind of evolutionary, I mean, maybe, nowadays people talk about biology, would say advantage. I mean, to have inductive reason, to have this kind of instinct that jump, even though the conclusion don't follow from the premises, it is good in almost all cases. And, in philosophy classes, you can question whether induction is justified. It's all academic. I mean, you're going to go out of this room and do induction left and right without thinking about it, and just continue to live as you did before. It's not about changing your mind, because Hume says that you cannot change your mind. So why does he bother talking to us about it? In order to teach us about the nature of knowledge. To know what is our knowledge, not to have an illusion about what we know.
So usually, we don't condemn induction and we don't condemn the custom mind because it's natural for us that it's usually efficient. Like you said, 9 out of 10 times will help us both just in life, just like to survive, like if people evolutionary way. But at the same time, we look at other stuff like our generalizations, stereotyping, and we condemn them because we will say they're not critical thinking enough, right? And they are pretty much the same thing, and they're very much effective in induction, and that they're also effective in a way. So how can we condemn one but say the other one's okay?
Okay, so what's the answer? So the question is that we are critical. I mean, this course is supposed to teach you to be critical about ourselves. And then, I teach you somehow it says this or that. You have to do that, forget about it. Is that what you're saying? Can we change our mind about our theories, according to you?
Just trying to bring us to an awareness that we have these things built in us, and that we should, when we look at something, we should try and understand where we're coming from and apply, just be aware of that and be particular with the decision.
Yeah, he's trying, but I mean, but the question is, it seems that he's saying that it's not negotiable. We have to behave in a certain way. I mean, it's not our choice. Our choices are based on this automatic wiring, indoctrination of nature. I mean, and the question is, does it mean the end of all critical thinking about science? So think about, what kind of custom and habit is science, and what kind of custom and habit is, for instance, biological dispositions, or think that we all agree and have a question. What you would say, science is very superficial. It's not superficial in terms of knowledge. It's superficial in terms of where the idea of necessary connection. There are very, very basic ideas that will never change. If we are human and we have the experience that we have, if there was a very different world, which every time you open the door, it might be a hole in the, or you can move to another dimension or something like that, it would be different. But given our world, and given our nature, there are certain things that are non-negotiable. And the thing that we can change, they're still related to the idea of necessary connection, but they're kind of superficial. They're at the top. The top is the most superficial that we can change. But as you go to the bottom, the more you go into human nature, into the basic things of our thinking, the less, it's open to any change. The only change is experience. If you're not a baby, if you don't have certain experience, so sometimes we change our mind about more fundamental things because we have a trauma, or we have some kind of experience, not because we think about something. You can tell people, for a long time something, and it can pass, go from one side to the other. But then there is a trauma, and suddenly they understand, or suddenly they change their mind. So it's kind of, that's what Hume is saying. Sometimes there could be a change, but it will never be at the most fundamental level. And it's not because of philosophical discussion. Philosophical discussion can change things that are relatively superficial. Okay? If you want to teach people who have no, for instance, a background in democratic life, what is democracy, you can have a course that can come out of it, thinking that they understand certain things. The first time there is a kind of crisis, they will say we need a strong leader. It's too much chaos. People deciding that they don't know what to decide. It's kind of bad. It's not efficient. Blah blah blah. This is normal for you. This is what you expect. To have biases, to have all these things. Okay, so let's have 5 minutes break, and we'll talk about